John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, or John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, if you prefer, or John Wick Chapter 3 Tokyo Drift, or John Wick Chapter 3 Electric Boogaloo, whatever. Whichever you call it, that's what this is. It's a movie review. And unlike the last two, which I was willing to let Peacock ruin for me for the experience of being able to describe what it's like watching a John Wick film because I'd already seen 1 and 2, I actually never saw 3. So I actually wanted to understand it. Because at some point I'm going to end up watching 4. Hopefully with audio description. I don't know where it's going to land. It's really iffy. It's a Lionsgate film. Fun fact, between John Wick being hosted on Peacock to now John Wick is on Freevee? So I found audio description somewhere else. And I'll leave it at that. But I did watch it with audio description. I watched Parabellum, Tokyo Drift with audio description. So let's talk about it. So if you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button because my channel gets nuts. It's off the wall here. And you want to be a part of that. I can tell. I know you. I see it in you. He lives in you. Anyway, so this picks up right after chapter 2. I mean, almost literally. Like within, I think like 5 minutes has transpired. Since chapter 2. And, John Wick has just been called excommunicado. Which seemed very dramatic at the end of chapter 2. And then I didn't realize it was going to be like an entire movie about him being excommunicado. Like what that means to the world of John Wick. And this is one of those films where, a lot of people started making fun of the Fast and Furious movies because they started like playing around with, I don't know, making them spies. Like they started out as like drag racers and suddenly they're spies. There are a lot of assassins in the John Wick universe. It's like uncomfortable. Like everybody seems to know what's up. And I'm like, is this our world? Is this supposed to be remotely close to our world? Because I feel like this is nowhere near it. Like John Wick is called excommunicado and like suddenly he's famous. He's like Lady Gaga famous. Like he just walks down the street and everybody's like, oh my God, is that John Wick? Oh my God, I can't believe he wore that outfit today. Like everyone seems to know who this dude is. And like before he was just chilling. He was just at home. Yeah, he was just whatever. And for somebody who's supposed to be like the last thing you see before you die, a lot of people seem to be able to facially recognize John Wick. So apparently he's really bad at his job because everybody immediately is like, yeah, that's John Wick. I know he's an assassin and he's supposed to, sneak around in the darkness, but this totally makes sense so we would all know what he looks like immediately. Yeah, he's like a superstar as soon as this excommunicado thing happens. He has a few minutes at the beginning to try to get to wherever he needs to get, and he kind of does. I mean, and he, does his best wiki behavior to maneuver himself through the movie basically and avoid assassins constantly trying to kill him, and Jason Mantzoukas is trying to tell him what time it is. I don't know. I think we just put Jason Mantzoukas in things now because he's pretty much interchangeable for whatever you need him. You're just like, let's put him in here. Jason's on set. Can we get him in the film? Like, oh, sure. Let's have him stand over there and point at his watch. Yeah. He just kind of bounces around and he's trying to... Because if you remember in chapter 2, he kind of got a raw deal. And it's kind of like nobody ever points that out. it's I mean, the world of John Wick is supposed to be all about these rules, right? And they're all like, you honor the high table and you honor the rules. But then then they're like, no, you don't honor these rules because the high table matters. So he had that the guy in John Wick Chapter 2 had had the marker on him and said, I'm redeeming this. You must kill who I tell you, and you're gonna kill my sister, and I'm gonna inherit her chair. And so that happens, and then he inherits the chair on the high table, and immediately says that he needs revenge for his sister's death, which was the guy he hired, which doesn't make any sense. It's like, is everybody stupid in this universe? Like, it's a fun film, and I love the action, and I'm here for the action. But if you really start thinking about these films too much, you just go, what the fuck is happening in the writer's room? Like, what is happening in this world? Yeah, so everybody's just like, they're super chill. Apparently there are no rules about that. There are no rules about having somebody assassinate another, which every other member of the high table, by the way, should be concerned about. The fact that there's zero repercussions for somebody to hire a hitman to take them out. In a world of like a billion hitmen, by the way, let's just take a stock in that, because in this film, like, there are so many hitmen that just pop out of nowhere. They're just trying to take out John Wick. Not to mention all the ones he's already fought in the first two films, and all the ones he's going to fight in Chapter 4. Any one of those hitmen could have easily been hired to kill any member of the high table at any point in time without any repercussion, because there were no repercussions for the other guy's brother. So anyway, I've sat on this franchise for a minute and thought about lots of things about it. It's fun. I show up for action sequences. I show up for the fights. But this world, these films continue to want you to try to buy into the world, into like they're cool, sleek. Like, look at what we came up with, and it's like, what you came up with is stupid. I don't know if you know that. What you came up with is functionally, it's like sending the characters from Fast and Furious into space. It's fucking stupid. So stop trying to pat yourselves on the back. This is not a smart world you live in. The action sequences are well choreographed, and that's predominantly what the movie is. So that's where things come into play, and things are really good. And every once in a while, something kind of is cool and makes sense in the plot. You're like, oh, that's different, whatever. But yeah, for the most part, it's, if you overthink John Wick, it just but we're not supposed to overthink these movies, I mean, I enjoy the hell out of Armageddon. I don't sit there and like deconstruct it from a scientific point of view. I'm like, yes, this is patriotically awesome, we're gonna save the planet. In John Wick, you're just like, yes, he's kicking ass. Oh, he just threw an axe into that dude's head. What the fuck? And you just run with it, and you go with it, because that's why you clicked on the title. And it's possible you don't like this kind of stuff. It's possible that you just need to rewatch Nomadland for the 18th time, and that's fine too. Go for it. See what A24 is up to and watch one of their films. But this isn't going to be for everybody, and the other films are not for everybody, because not every film is for everybody. But I enjoy the John Wick films, even though I think the world that they're in is functionally really stupid. And I laugh when I think about how they're planning they think their franchise is so cool that it's going to sustain a TV spinoff and film spinoff. It's the new Fast and Furious, basically. It's the new. So we'll see about all of that. But yeah, it's John Wick fighting his way through and trying to survive and live. And his associates are all put on trial by the I can't think of it. Asia Kate Dillon. they're put on trial by Taylor Mason from Billions. Um, I can't remember what their character name is. So, yeah, Kate Dillon is in this. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know about this character. I don't know if this character is supposed to. I think what's really interesting about the character is it took me a minute because I didn't look up the cast until afterwards, and they were using gender neutral pronouns, and I was like, they haven't really established that this character is gender neutral, but cool. Um, so I realized afterwards that they were just using it because the actor identifies as non-binary. So uh, that is why they were using it. But there's nothing really in the script that defines that character that somebody ever identifies. None of the people that speak to them use gender neutral pronouns. So it's really interesting to hear that used in the audio description, but no character uses they them pronouns and they don't use they them pronouns to describe themselves. So anyway, just a thought of how that came to be. Somebody used IMDb and did some research on the person playing that role and found out that, I mean, a lot had to go into that to figure out what the pronouns are, since it's not within the context of the film. It's also got Angelica Houston and Halle Berry for the first time in a John Wick franchise. I thought Halle Berry was really cool, and I was thinking about all the times that Halle Berry has popped up in a franchise and created a cool character and legitimately could have gotten a spinoff, and nothing ever happens. I mean, I remember for a while back after Die Another Day, they were talking pretty seriously about doing a Jinx spinoff. That never happened. They were like, oh yeah, we're gonna spin off. It's gonna be the first Bond spinoff. It's gonna be based around Jinx. No. Oh yeah, we're gonna do X-Men Origins Storm. That's gonna be awesome. Nope. Poor Halle Berry. But yeah, they'll do a Catwoman movie with her. Anyway, her cool characters never get spin-offs, but my god, let's put her in a Catwoman movie. So, she's good in this. I liked it. She was effective. She's not really in it that much for all of the hype that she got. She's really in about 15 minutes of the film, maybe. Yeah. So, and of course, you know, the regulars from before, you know, Ian McShane, Lawrence Fishburne, and they're back for more. Lawrence Fishburne is like he's not playing around in this film. I love it. He's not having it. He's like, the high table comes in and he's like, do you know who I am? do you know who I am? I'm the Power King. And I was like, I want to see a movie with this guy. That level of energy. I want to see a Bowery King movie now. Enjoy it. The action scenes are really well described, which seems almost impossible at the length and with all of the things that are happening. I'm sure that there are parts of this that are not of the action sequences that are not in the description, because there's only just so fast a person can talk while covering a character that can be fighting multiple people at the same time, or in some instances John has help, has assistance, and it's two people that are fighting at the same time, and you're trying to cover ground with multiple people fighting. One of the scenes in the movie involves sort of like John, Hallie, and Hallie's two dogs all fighting together as part of a team. This like gang of would-be assassins, poorly trained assassins, and kicking their asses. And with, you know, I'm sure the camera is able to show you multiple people fighting at the same time, but the audio description can really only make it seem like they're hitting certain points, but it seems sort of seamless how they're doing it. So there's a flow to how the audio description describes the fight sequences that make things feel like you're getting every punch and blow, even though sort of conceptually I don't think I am. Because it's just, I don't, I mean, there were times, especially I'd hear like the dog, it seems like they left the dogs out sometimes. There was one time where I heard the dog sort of lunge and nothing was really described, but then there was like another time where I heard the dog lunge and they managed to like work it into a situation. So yeah, it can be a lot to describe in one fleeting moment. So I did enjoy that. This is where we start sort of, I mean, this really shapes the world of John Wick even more than the second film did. The first film didn't, I mean, only kind of grazed on like the concepts of John Wick's world. Second film opened it up a lot more and explained more of it. The third film was the one that really is like, okay, well, these are I mean, this is the whole universe. But now the universe doesn't make any sense. Because I'm like, are there regular people, like, living their everyday lives? I want to see, if they make a chapter 5, I want to just see a regular dude. Just like somebody who has absolutely no idea that John Wick's world exists. And John Wick, like, runs into them in their apartment, and it's just somebody doing something completely normal, and they're just hanging out. They're not an assassin, they're not even remotely in a job related to the high table. They're just whatever it is, they're just doing it, and it's just like their normal day. And it's not just some person just chilling. And I think that would be really refreshing for this franchise. It would be refreshing if everybody who didn't jump out was an assassin, because what the fuck? But that was the only thought that I had. I was like, is anybody in this entire universe not have the job of assassin? Is this some sort of weird alternate timeline where all of us get trained from birth on how to kill somebody else? Because we need to be really clear about that. Does anybody do anything normal for a living anymore in this franchise? So that's it. That's John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. It's a fun film that's very silly. So don't overthink it, because, oh my god. But I do feel like these films get sort of progressively slightly on the downturn. Like, the first one's the best. The second one is just like a step down, and the third one is just a step down. The third one feels like it doesn't stand alone as a film. The second film feels like it has a little bit more standalone premise, but the third film kind of feels like it really truly is a continuation. Like, you're in the middle of a limited series on Netflix, and this is like episode 3, like, you definitely missed something, because it starts off, I mean, and he's on the run from something, and things are already happening, and they don't really go back and explain it. So if you just started at just chapter 3, you would be lost. So it doesn't really work as a film you can jump in the franchise on. So with all of that said, I'm going to give John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, a B+. I think the action's fun, and I think that's why people show up to these films. So, good call. Keanu's fun, too, in these. We don't give him enough props, but he's been doing this type of thing for a while, and he's really good at it. So a lot of people just still consider him to be a bad actor, and it's like, maybe that's true, but he's not trying to do, he's not in Tragedy of Macbeth. That was Denzel, not Keanu. So, I mean, he knows where he stands, so it works out nicely. I'd kill to see a Batman movie after seeing DC League of Super Pets. I thought he was the best thing in it. His Batman was great. But other than that, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And yeah, you can also follow me on Instagram or Twitter, Mac the Movie Guy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acp.org. It'll let you know what is audio description, where you can watch it. You can go to the ADNA.org and you can look up films and television series there and see who narrates them. And you can go to my website, macthemovieguy.com. Until next time, hopefully you'll join the conversation so we can keep talking about films that have audio description and why they should have them, what happens when they don't. And I will see you guys on the other side.